Rebels today again turning away investigators who were making another attempt to reach the crash site of the Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 in eastern Ukraine. Government officials say rebels have now placed landmines near the wreckage. All this after President Obama announced plans to join European countries in hitting Russia with sanctions on its energy, weapons, and banking industries. Joining us now, Republican Congresswoman Noem from South Dakota, also a member of the House Armed Services Committee. What's the mood in Congress, Congresswoman Noem, regarding the president's new round of sanctions?
Well, I think everybody was glad to see the president take decisive action. And we really do believe that with Europe's cooperation on these sanctions, it's going to have a big impact on Russia and maybe slow them down in their aggressiveness on this issue.
Is it enough to make Vladimir Putin back down?
You know, Putin is an interesting individual and potentially not. But I do see that some of the businessmen in his country, the economy, people that are tied closely to that are really weighing in. And as they start to see money get drawn out of their country and the impact on their local economy, that they will start to realize that this was not a good move and that recognize that these sanctions are having an impact and they need to slow down their help to these separatists.
What about the prospect of offering more military hardware, not necessarily weapons, but even, radar jamming capability and that kind of thing to the Ukrainian government?
Well, the Ukrainian government hasn't necessarily requested or need lethal force yet, but what they do need is some help, which we have secured through long-term loan guarantees, other things to prop up their government during this insurgency that they've seen happen in their country. When we look at other equipment that they may need, if those requests are made, we're certainly willing to help. We just want to make sure that the Ukrainian army is having some success. I see that they're taking action now to block off some of the support that Russia has been providing to the separatists. We encourage that. We hope that they will continue to do that. And in the meantime, we ask that these impacts on Russia be significant enough that it gets them to think twice about the actions they've taken so far.
The Ukraine is a long way from South Dakota. What do you tell your constituents about why we need to be concerned about what's going on there?
The people in South Dakota are very motivated by our national security. We have a high service rate in the state. We're home to an Air Force base. They recognize that national security needs to be our #1 priority and the #1 priority of the federal government. So they understand that this is serious. They don't want to return to a Cold War situation, or they see the unrest that's happening all across the world and are very concerned. So they recognize that the United States has a role. They would like to see us be much more aggressive on energy policy. One of the reasons that Russia has so much influence over that region is because they supply their natural gas supply. And that is really something that the United States could do something about. If our president went out there and took up H.R. 6, which the House passed, which expedites our natural gas exploration and permitting processes, we could soon, in a year or two, be the providers that would step in and take away Russia's market that they have. That would be dramatically impactful on Russia, and they would recognize that our actions are really going to hurt them economically into the future.
I want to turn your attention to one of the big domestic issues right now, the immigration situation on the southern border. The House apparently going to take up that $659 million measure that would help stem the flood of illegal immigrant children coming across the border. Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid says go ahead and pass that. He wants to attach some other items to that bill and turn it into comprehensive immigration reform. What do you think about what's going to happen here?
Well, Harry's playing politics. We just want to fix the problem. We recognize that we need to have reforms to some of our policies that make sure that these countries get the message that they can't send their children to live an illegal lifetime in the United States. We want to take care of them and expedite the process and make sure that they can be reunited with their families back home. Harry wants to kill our bill because politically that works for him in this election cycle. American people are tired of it. We recognize that the House is doing the work. We're hopeful that we can get the bill passed, which looks very optimistic, and that Harry will recognize that this is a crisis. One of our leading generals said in HASC not too long ago that they believe that this border crisis could be our greatest national security threat. And so we can't play politics with that kind of stuff. The fact that Harry does that is dangerous, and we should not let that keep us off of our agenda. This bill that we have on the floor tomorrow will fix this problem. It'll stop the flow to our border, and it'll make sure that we keep the dangerous criminals out, as well as reunite those children with their families.
A lot of work to get done before you adjourn. Congresswoman Noem from South Dakota, thank you.